Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Gamdias Hermes Lite keyboard because I like keyboards. So recently I got a chance to get hands-on with the Hermes Lite keyboard from Gamdias. I've been using it for about 2 weeks now, and I wanted to pass along my experiences to you guys today and let you know the good and bad that I have seen with this particular keyboard. So first off, just looking at the design of the keyboard, you can see it does have a black finish with their Zeus logo along the wrist rest, as well as the Gamdias Hermes Lite lettering up above the numpad. It does use red LED backlighting on this keyboard, which can switch between 5 different modes, 4 different phases of brightness, as well as a final mode, which puts it into a breathing mode, so it goes on and off in a few second intervals that you can control using the Hermes Hera software that you can download from the Gamdias website. Now, this keyboard is utilizing red TTC switches, which are not Cherry MX switches. They're TTC, but they are basically cloned right after Cherry MX switches. So I really don't have a big complaint about this. I know some people might be turned off by that instantly and say, oh, it's not Cherry MX switches, I'm not interested. Well, I really don't have a problem with it as long as the keyboard manufacturers that are making these and then using the cheaper switches do pass that savings on to the consumer, and that is what's happening here, as this keyboard is coming in at $90, so it's less than what their other keyboards are out there at like $125, $130 from Gamdias that are using Cherry MX switches. So they're getting the cost down by using the cheaper TTC switches, and they really don't feel any different from Cherry MX switches in my experience. They still require the exact same 45 grams of pressure that a Cherry MX red switch would. So it feels really exactly the same. It's just being made by a different manufacturer who are probably following the Cherry MX patent along to a T, since they have lost their patent, and now everyone can basically make Cherry MX style switches, and a lot of companies are getting into this arena, and TTC is just another one of those companies. As far as red switches are concerned, I really like them for typing because I feel I can type insanely fast because of the light actuation force that is required on a red switch. But in gaming, it does bother me to some extent, mostly because you can actually press down a red switch without having to actually push it down all the way. You can get it about halfway, and that will count as it being actuated, and it will signal the key to take effect. So sometimes I'll be reaching up to reload on R, and I might accidentally hit like T, which can often in a lot of games bring up the keyboard functionality so you can type out messages in a multiplayer game. And I've done that, and then like, why can't I move? Oh, it's because I'm in the middle of typing a message, and I've gotten killed in games like that. It just happened yesterday on Killing Floor, actually. So that's really just a complaint about red switches in general, whether it be TTC or Cherry MX, really doesn't matter. Kale switches, that's just something for me personally with red switches. I don't really like them for gaming. For gaming, I tend to lean more towards like blacks or browns. Blues are really, really clicky. I love the sound and feel of blues, but they're just a little bit too extreme for my liking. So I kind of like the blacks and browns because they're kind of right in the middle. But I'd love to get your guys' feedback down below on this. You know, what type of switches do you prefer for gaming if you have tried, you know, multiple switches out there? Blues, browns, blacks, reds. Would just love to get your guys' feedback on this and see where that fits in with how I feel about the red switches. On this keyboard, you do have 2 remappable macro keys that you can utilize by using their included Hera software. Another thing in here that I really liked in their software was that I could swap the function and Windows key right inside the software. This was incredibly important to me because out of the box, they actually move the Windows key over to the right side of the keyboard, which initially I looked at, I was like, oh, that's great. I'm never going to press the Windows key by accident when I'm gaming. Even though, you know, the keyboard does have a gaming mode that you can put on that disables the Windows key. I thought, great, now I don't even need to do that. But where that began to impact me was when I was at my desktop and I wanted to use my Windows key. I was having to relearn the muscle memory for the Windows key, and that was kind of bothersome for me. But I was able to switch it right in the software to put Windows key back on the left side, and then I could switch the keys around using the included keycap puller that Gamdias sent along with the keyboard. So it was really easy to just switch those around. So, you know, whatever's important to you, you can have the Windows key on the left or the right and swap it with the function key. That's a really nice feature to see that you can customize it, you know, to your preference like that. And I definitely have utilized, you know, that functionality since they have allowed us to. As far as the macros are concerned, you can set up to 6 different profiles using the Hera software, or you can do your profiles right on the keyboard by using the function button and the F keys, you can go ahead and switch between your different profiles and set macros by using function F9 right on the keyboard. Or yet again, like I said, you can go into the Hera software and do it in there if you just want a user interface to be able to do it in, and you could download that right on the Gamdias website. In there, you can also set timers if you want with different sound settings, so you can change the sound profiles of the alarms if you needed to set a timer. This is not something that I've found particularly useful to me, but that may be useful to you. I have heard of like mobile players using timers in some of their gaming sessions for certain things, so maybe that could be useful for you. But like I said, for me, just not really something I needed to use, but it's an extra feature that's in there. It doesn't really take away from anything else, so I really can't complain about it. Now, I just want to show you guys a quick typing test that I ran through for you guys so you can get an idea of how the switches sound on this keyboard, and I think you'll find that they sound exactly like a Cherry MX Red switch if you've ever used something like that in the past. Overall, I would say that I'm enjoying using the Gamdias keyboard. It has edged the AULA keyboard off my desk as my daily driver because I am enjoying the red switches more than I was the blue switches, because I just found those to be just really, really clicky, and I just like the way that this keyboard feels and looks on the desk. I think it's really, really nice. And the fact that it's $90 is also good too, because a lot of the other keyboards out there you're seeing in mechanical switches, you're seeing them up around $120, $130. Even companies like Razer, which are now utilizing non-Cherry MX switches, aren't even passing that savings on to the consumer by, lowering the price, which is something they have done here with Gamdias. They're using a more affordable switch, and the keyboard is more affordable as a result of it, and that's something I really like to see. I could definitely get behind that. And it's a good solid keyboard. It is plastic, but it doesn't really have any flex to it. It's really sturdy and has a decent weight to it, and I can pick up the keyboard and move it around. It just does not flex at all. There's rubber feet on the bottom, which is nice to see. The little kick-out feet actually both have rubber right at the ends of them, so they're not going to slip around on your desk. I've seen a lot of keyboards that, the little feet flip out, but then they don't have rubber on them. Just the keyboard being flat would have had rubber and not the feet themselves. But the feet here do have the little bits of rubber on them, so that's really nice. And this keyboard just does not move around my desk unless I pick it up and actually move it around. So they definitely have a recommendation from me. I don't have any major gripes against this keyboard. I just wanted to mention the things there like the TTC switches, because that may bother some people, but it really shouldn't at the end of the day, because they work just as well, as the Cherry MX switches, and I have no complaints about those. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now, guys. I'll leave a link down in the description below to where you can check out the Hermes Lite keyboard from Gamdias, and I'll catch you guys next time. Ta-ra.